It was just constant laughing, talking, joking.
We're learning that the two people who died in a car wreck here in West Valley City were siblings. Coming up, hear what investigators say might have caused the crash.
Right now, tracking areas of snow for central Utah, what to expect during the overnight hours and for your morning drive, plus how long the cold weather will last.
I thought, I have gloves. I have lots of gloves. So I'm going to go through my gloves.
As temperatures drop, you might be more inclined to give. Why it's personal for a Weber County woman trying to help people experiencing homelessness.
The eyes of an African country are fixed on a Utah courtroom this week. We'll hear from the family of a woman killed in Arches National Park about how they would use a court award to continue her legacy.
The state of Utah wants to widen parts of I-15. It's a project that could impact many Utah families.
Time and time again, we're the community that's going to bear the brunt of growth through Utah.
What the expansion could mean for homes along the way.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kelly Chapman. We've got a big story happening right now outside. It's the fog. Take a look at these foggy UDOT cameras on the right side of your screen. We're down to a quarter of a mile visibility in some spots along the Wasatch Front. Let's get to the woman in the center of your screen now, Utah's Weather Authority, Allison Krogan. Is this going to even worsen throughout the night into the morning, Allison?
Yes, we have dense fog advisories through 11 a.m. tomorrow. So for some areas already experiencing visibility down to a quarter mile, and that is extremely dangerous for driving conditions right now for Brigham City, Ogden. For Salt Lake, we're 5 miles, but just to our south for Provo and for Manti, visibility down to 1 mile right now. So dense fog advisories have been issued from Pleasant View down through North Salt Lake. The National Weather Service has a good chance of issuing some more as we're continuing to see this widespread fog, and that takes us through 11 a.m. tomorrow. So right now here across the state, we have still some snow coming down across central Utah, and then we have very tough visibility right now for the Wasatch Front and portions of central Utah and eastern Utah. Now, we've got these winter weather advisories through 6 a.m. tomorrow for the mountains of central Utah. Our toughest driving conditions because of the snow will be Nephi further south, I-70 at Cove Fort, and also our mountain passes in central Utah, plus for the Wasatch Plateau. So into tomorrow morning, we'll have a few areas of slick spots, and we'll have some very low visibility for the morning drive. We'll talk more about that coming up in the full forecast.
Thanks, Allison. Right now, a Utah family is in mourning after losing 2 members in just one night. Today, West Valley City Police identified Bebs Valencia and Myron Singer as the siblings who crashed into a parked truck. Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser spoke to their family, who says nothing will ever be the same. The 2 people who died here on the side of 3200 West were siblings. Their sister tells me it just doesn't feel real, and she can't believe they're gone.
A brother and sister out on an evening drive Saturday night in West Valley City never made it home.
I can't even imagine just one child. It's 2 at one time.
32-year-old Bebs Valencia and 40-year-old Myron Singer were driving toward 2700 South, 3200 West when their car ran into a parked box truck. Valencia died at the scene.
She was a really nice, warm person, She thought of others before herself.
Medics rushed Singer to the hospital where he later died.
Yeah, he was more of a man of action than words. Just
Yes.
like Grandpa, he was like that, He showed his love in the things he did for you.
Their sister, Marcella Halcomb, says the siblings' personalities were different, but together they just clicked.
It was just constant laughing, talking, joking, and we would be like, okay, this is crazy, because they just got each other.
Investigators are looking into whether speed or alcohol were possible factors. Both victims are parents. The family grew up together on the Navajo reservation. The hope is that's where they can lay them to rest.
He wanted to be buried back home, with his grandparents, and we're hoping that that's going to happen.
The family started a fundraiser to help cover the costs for both funerals. If you want more information on how to donate, you can click the link at fox13now.com. Reporting in West Valley City, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah. Now to a developing story in West Valley City. The teen charged in a deadly shooting near Hunter High School earlier this year pleaded guilty in court today. Two boys, Paul Tahi and Tovani Lapati, were killed after police say an argument escalated back in January. A third boy, Ephraim Asiata, was also shot. He survived. The suspect was charged as a juvenile, so his identity will not be made public. The teen, who was 14 years old at the time of the shooting, will be in a detention facility until he is 21 years old. A student at Kearns High School could face administrative discipline or even criminal charges after making a non-credible threat to the school on social media that got a lot of attention last night. A spokesperson with the Granite School District says the suspect allegedly posted the image on Snapchat as a joke, showing a metal beam where the words, quote, "the shooting" and today's date had been carved. Unified Police determined the suspect did not have the means to carry it out, but despite that, the district is now urging parents to better monitor their children's use of social media.
We're asking parents to help because we need students to be aware of the very serious implications that posting fake social media threats like this have for them.
The district says the students in the group chat shared the post instead of reporting it. That means they could also face administrative and criminal penalties as well. A new poll says Utah voters will pick Ron DeSantis or Liz Cheney before they choose Donald Trump in a presidential race again. The poll by the Deseret News and Hinckley Institute of Politics asked, quote, if the presidential primary were held today, who would you vote for? It found 24% of Utahns say they support Ron DeSantis as the GOP nominee. 16% pick Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who has helped lead the January 6th committee. 14% pick former President Donald Trump for 2024. The list then breaks down other Republican names. 20% surveyed, however, say right now they simply don't know. It's that time of year where homeless shelters, they start to fill up with more people trying to stay out of the cold. It's also the season of giving. Fox 13 News anchor Brian Schnee tells us about Project Warming Hands and why helping people who are experiencing homelessness is personal for one local woman.
We often see higher numbers of shelter occupancy during the winter time as people that maybe were once sleeping out on the streets are coming to shelter just because of the harsh elements.
The Lantern House in Ogden is a critical resource in Weber County for those experiencing homelessness.
So unfortunately, the visible homelessness is increasing in Weber County. We are seeing individuals coming into shelter and on the streets that are brand new to homeless, never been homeless before.
Lauren says the cost of housing and inflation are contributing to first-time homelessness right now.
Unfortunately, people are falling into homeless situations faster than we can find solutions.
It's also the time of year when northern Utah records freezing, even life-threatening temperatures. So any solution could help save lives.
So you hear people need coats all the time. You hear they need boots all the time. But I don't think people realize you need gloves all the time.
Paula recently donated sleeping bags to the Lantern House and asked what other items they're looking for right now.
As soon as he said gloves, I thought, oh, my heart has melted.
Both gloves and hand warmers are personal for Paula.
If I didn't have gloves, I'd be in a world of hurt.
And always will be.
Sure, there's other people who are hurting now.
Almost 25 years ago, Paula was diagnosed with Raynaud's syndrome, a common condition where blood flow to extremities like hands and toes decreases.
And I lose feeling in my fingers and they turn white and it hurts a lot.
So when Paula heard they needed gloves at the Lantern House,
because it was personal, I thought, you know, I have gloves. I have lots of gloves. So I'm going to go through my gloves.
She also reached out to family and friends on social media and hopes others will join Project Warming Hands.
When we get donations of gloves and clients come in need of gloves, even if they don't ask for them, we're giving them 2 or 3 just to make sure that if they get wet or they can double up, because we do see an increase of frostbite and concerns of frostbite during these months.
What started with the will to donate,
it's the holidays,
continues with the hope of doing more for those who need a helping hand.
Everybody has gloves that they don't use. We should be giving them to people who really need them.
If you'd like to help out with Project Warming Hands or the Lantern House directly, we'll show you how to do both on our website, fox13now.com. In Ogden, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Such a good cause. The Lantern House has 330 beds in total. Roughly 230 of them are occupied. In addition to socks, boots, and gloves, they're also seeking donations of other items such as reusable water bottles, canned fruits and vegetables. But the item they need most is toilet paper.
It was a gruesome death in Arches National Park. Today, the family explained to a judge why the U.S. government should pay them $140 million.
With the holiday shopping season in full swing comes the risk for people's gifts being mishandled. It happened to one Utah woman, and it was all caught on camera. We'll show you the video.
Utah Jazz guard Mike Conley has missed 9 straight games. Will he play against the Warriors on Wednesday?
Watching some low visibility right now. This is a live look at Washington Boulevard in Ogden. Visibility down to a quarter mile. Dangerous driving conditions. Your forecast is coming up.
She had like a tremendous potential, like she could, lift mountains basically in her own way.
The sorrow, the pain she's having may not subside or may not go because she lost her daughter.
People in one African country are focused on a Utah courthouse this week. A judge will determine how much the U.S. government has to pay the family of a celebrity and a humanitarian from Uganda who died in Arches National Park. Fox 13 investigative reporter Nate Carlisle was in the courtroom today.
This was Esther Nakajigo. We've told you about her accomplishments in Uganda. More on that in a moment. But in June 2020, Nakajigo and her husband were exiting Arches when wind caught a traffic control gate. It pierced their car and decapitated Nakajigo in the passenger seat. Her widower, mother, and brother went to the federal courthouse in Salt Lake City today asking for more than $140 million.
My name is Esther Nakajigo, the Uganda's ambassador for women and girls.
She had like a tremendous potential, like she could, lift mountains basically in her own way.
Ludo Michaud was driving when the accident happened at Arches, just 3 months after he and Nakajigo married.
I don't want this incident to, reproduce itself ever again.
She was 25. In opening statements today, a plaintiff's attorney described how much Nakajigo had already accomplished.
This year, like Esther, will decide the future.
That she came from a very, very poor household where the mom was beaten like all the time, where she used to see children, like young children, getting pregnant on the streets because we come from the slums.
We give them that information. They do not need to only have book information. They have skills for life.
She was a singer and actress who raised money to open health clinics for teenagers, even though she was a teenager herself. And she created a reality television show that depicted and aided pregnant girls.
Welcome to Africa's best high school reality TV show, The Saving Innocence Challenge.
Nakajigo's mother, through a translator, said she wants to use money from the court award to continue funding her daughter's work.
The sorrow, the pain she's having may not subside or may not go because she lost her daughter. But at least she can get some relief if she continues the work her daughter was doing.
Plaintiff attorneys intend to show Judge Bruce Jenkins the horror of that day. He will see photos from the scene and video from a camera mounted on the Arches Visitor Center.
I've been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
The government has already admitted liability. Under questioning from the judge, an assistant U.S. attorney asked far less be paid to the family, about $4.25 million. He contended the plaintiffs are vastly overestimating Nakajigo's future earnings and what Michaud should receive for the effects of witnessing the accident.
This was the first award she won. She won in 2013.
Nakajigo's mother and brother arrived in Salt Lake City over the weekend. They showed us posters and news articles tracing Nakajigo's feats. It was their first time on an airplane and their first time meeting Michaud in person.
Our mom and I, we cried and we just, talked the whole morning. And that was pretty emotional.
Today's Michaud's birthday. He's expected to testify sometime this week. The trial is scheduled to finish Friday with a ruling in the coming weeks. And Uganda is watching. We've already seen significant traffic on Fox13Now.com and our social media for this story. Much of that audience is from Uganda. In the studio, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
serious? I have you on camera.
Uh-oh, yes, indeed. Caught on camera here. Stephanie Griffin in Park City shared this video with us of a delivery person throwing a package out of the car window into her driveway. Stephanie says that she was expecting a delivery from FedEx, but as you can see, the truck is not a marked company vehicle. Hopefully nothing valuable or breakable was inside that box.
Then when they tried to reverse, they almost hit the rocks on the side,
Oh,
too.
boy.
Yeah. Messy there.
Situation.
Well, hey, we do have some driving concerns tonight. We've got low visibility right now for portions of the Wasatch Front. Dense fog advisories have been issued for the northern part of the Wasatch Front. Right now in Ogden, it is down to a quarter mile for Brigham City. As we look into Payson, Manti, Provo, your visibility has been rather low tonight. And just tips, if you're going to be driving this goes until 11 a.m. tomorrow, the dense fog advisory. Reminder just to slow down. Pay attention to the lines on the road when things get tough, and never use your brights. Your high beams are not the way to go. Use low beams or fog lights. And if visibility does get down to 0 where you can't see anything, put your hazards on, pull into the closest parking lot, and just wait it out until things hopefully can improve. So the dense fog advisory goes until 11 a.m. tomorrow. It could be issued for more areas. We could see this expanding as we do have widespread fog right now, but dense fog advisories from Pleasant View down through North Salt Lake. We do have many areas right now with visibility less than 1 mile, which is dangerous. Right now here in Salt Lake, 33 degrees, 31 for Ogden, 30 for Provo. Earlier tonight, it was a beautiful sunset. Scott Taylor, thanks so much for sending this picture to our Facebook group, Utah's Weather Authority. Your main weather headlines, in addition to the fog, winter weather advisories for the mountains of central Utah, areas of snow overnight, and then cold temperatures this week. So with the winter alerts that we do have for you, the winter driving conditions highlighted in this bluish purple color that you're seeing, winter weather advisories. Our main winter driving conditions as far as the snowfall goes will be from about Nephi further south, and then I-70 near Cove Fort, and then for our central mountains and also the Wasatch Plateau higher passes into tonight and early tomorrow morning. That expires at 6 a.m. Right now we're seeing a few areas of rain down towards Kanab, closer to Bryce, some flurries flying. And then, of course, always along I-15, our higher mountain passes, especially Beaver all the way up through Nephi, those areas usually become pretty problematic on those higher passes, those higher grades. So Salt Lake, the rest of tonight, we're into the 20s after midnight. We're going to have some low visibility, areas of patchy, dense fog tonight. And then into tomorrow morning, we'll have temperatures mainly in the 20s and low 30s here across the state, with some more unsettled weather continuing across southern Utah tomorrow. So some more areas of rain and snow. Now, no particular day is looking much more intense than others. It's just like we're going to have on and off chances for precipitation across southern Utah, widely scattered to scattered over the next few days. So more active weather continuing. Your timestamp at the top of the screen right here. Tuesday at 5 p.m. Still some areas of rain and snow tomorrow across southern Utah. Into Wednesday, same thing. St. George 54 tomorrow. Low 50s through Saturday. By Sunday, mid 40s. Some more chances for snow to mix in. And for the Wasatch Front, 30s for the next week. Our better chances for snow to return will be this weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up in your Super 7-day forecast.
Be careful driving tonight. Allison, thank you so much. Straight ahead, the clock is ticking in the all-important Georgia runoff election that will determine the balance of power in Congress. Hear from both candidates in the final hours of campaigning. And she was a beloved TV and movie star for decades. We take a look back at the life and career of the now late actress, Kirstie Alley. At this very moment, we are in the last hours of the last big election of 2022. Democrat incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia faces Republican challenger Herschel Walker tomorrow. Both candidates are pushing supporters to get out and vote.
Nothing could be more important for our democracy in this moment than your showing up.
Vote, vote, vote. If you hadn't voted, tell them to get out and vote.
Nearly 2 million people already voted early in the runoff. The results will not tip the balance of power in the Senate, but a Warnock win could give Democrats more breathing room at 51-49. Emmy Award-winning actress Kirstie Alley has died. The beloved actress, best known for her roles in the TV classic Cheers and the Look Who's Talking movie franchise, passed away today after a battle with cancer. A statement released from Allie's children says her cancer had only been, quote, recently discovered. She is survived by her 2 children and 1 grandchild. Kirstie Alley was 71 years old. Well, the FBI is now involved in the investigation into an attack on 2 electric substations in North Carolina. Gunfire took out power to about 40,000 people over the weekend.
Got no way to heat because we don't have a fireplace, and then we don't have no gas grill or anything like that, so we're just stranded.
Investigators say the person who did it knew what they were doing because equipment was vandalized and one of the gates was ripped off its hinges. Well, states just got another extension to comply with Real ID. Homeland Security now says it will start enforcing it May 7th, 2025. That's when all state driver's licenses will have to comply with the new standards. Now, if you don't have one, you won't be able to board a flight, among other things.
A Utah Tech student dies after falling nearly 55 feet from his dorm room. Coming up here from his family friend and police on the investigation.
New information about a polygamous leader on the Utah-Arizona border accused of taking young girls as wives.
UDOT's new I-15 expansion plan, how this is going to impact you and potentially your home.
Nearly 30 years with the Utah football program coming up. Kyle Whittingham looks back on his tenure.
Welcome back, everyone. We are learning more about a Utah Tech student who died when he fell from the balcony of a dorm over the weekend. Police identified the student as 18-year-old Peyton Hall, a freshman from South Jordan. Fox 13 reporter Lucy Nelson spoke with a childhood friend on the legacy he now leaves behind.
Everyone loved Peyton. Everyone he came across.
Carol Ann Samani says it's hard to believe her friend is gone.
I just want the world to know that, or just the community to know that Peyton was a great friend, a great brother to his siblings, a great son to his parents. He was just a great person overall.
In what Utah Tech police are calling a tragic accident, 18-year-old Peyton Hall fell from the balcony of his dorm room on campus, nearly 55 feet to the ground. A terrifying sight, Interim Police Chief Ron Bridge says many saw happen Sunday morning at around 2:30.
There were not only witnesses that were in the apartment with the individual, but the complex is a 5-story building that's very active on campus 24 hours a day. And there were several other students within the complex that observed it as well.
He says mental health counselors were sent to students straight away Sunday and will continue to work with them in upcoming weeks. Peyton's death shaking up campus and those like Carol Ann, who says she feels lucky to have known him.
Growing up with Peyton, he was such a goofball. He was just always making everyone laugh and just lighting up every room that he walked into.
Trying to move forward with Peyton still in their hearts.
He always had a lot of people behind him and will still be behind him after this and his family.
Interim Chief Bridge says the investigation is still ongoing and they're waiting for the toxicology report before they release any more details. As for students, there are several resources available to them if they choose to use them. In St. George, Lucy Nelson, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, new tonight, a wild scene in Cache County. A man now in custody after a chase with Utah Highway Patrol troopers ended with him crashing into someone's house in Logan. Troopers say around 5 o'clock this evening, they got a report of a man driving a stolen truck in Brigham City. UHP saw the suspect driving fast out of Sardine Canyon and began to chase him. They tried to spike his tires, but were unsuccessful, and they eventually stopped the chase. The driver, however, ended up hitting a pole at 300 South in Logan and then crashed into a woman's home.
We got all scared and we just started to get our kids because we thought the truck was gonna get on fire because all the smoke was coming out.
No vehicles were damaged and nobody was hit by the driver, so nobody was injured. The vehicle is going to be towed and returned to the owner.
Well, the suspect, who has not been identified, will be booked into the Cache County Jail on several charges, including evading police, DUI, reckless driving, and auto theft. The company behind the controversial Utah Lake Islands proposal is now asking the state to reconsider its decision for canceling the project. The company had been proposing to dredge Utah Lake in a multi-billion-dollar cleanup project. Part of that project includes building islands on Utah Lake for development, wetland habitat, and recreation. Now, Lake Restoration Solutions called the decision by the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands arbitrary and said, quote, Utah Lake still has massive environmental challenges that need to be addressed. The Utah Department of Natural Resources will review the petition and make a final determination as to whether the division acted inconsistently with statute, rule, or policy. The Utah State Legislature has lost another round in the lawsuit over redistricting. A judge has rejected the legislature's request to halt the lawsuit while it appeals to the state Supreme Court. The judge previously refused to dismiss the lawsuit. Instead, the case is now scheduled to go to trial in May of next year. The League of Women Voters, Mormon Women for Ethical Government, and some individual plaintiffs are suing the state. They say the congressional boundaries drawn by the legislature are illegal gerrymandering. Well, Salt Lake County will hold a truth in taxation hearing on a proposal to increase property taxes to pay for library services. The county says it hasn't increased taxes for that in 10 years. It would be an extra $30 a year on average of a priced home valued at $560,000. The tax, however, would not be applied to Salt Lake City or Murray residents who have their own library systems. A group of girls belonging to an offshoot of the fundamentalist LDS Church who vanished from Child Protective Services custody in Arizona have been found in Washington state. Now, charging documents are providing some new information about what was happening within their group. Fox 13 News reporter Ben Winslow has more.
Federal prosecutors are leveling kidnapping and obstruction of justice charges against followers of Samuel Bateman, who leads an offshoot of the fundamentalist LDS Church in Colorado City. An FBI affidavit says Bateman has more than 20 wives, many of whom are minors, most under the age of 15. Bateman allegedly has impressions of Heavenly Father's will to encourage his followers, including the minor children, to engage in sexual acts and relies on that submission to do his own will. In September, Bateman was arrested in an FBI raid in Colorado City. Court documents filed against him accuse Bateman of transporting girls inside a locked enclosed trailer and trying to cover up evidence. 9 girls were taken into state protective custody. Trent Nelson, a photographer with Fox 13 News partner the Salt Lake Tribune, was there when it happened and took these photos. In court documents, recorded conversations that were provided to federal authorities disclosed sexual abuse in interviews with authorities, but federal agents wrote, it is believed that some of the older girls were influencing the younger girls not to talk about Bateman. Therefore, the girls refused to participate in the forensic interviews, except one who told the interviewer, I can't talk to you. 8 of the girls then vanished from group homes in Arizona Child Protective Services custody. They were located in Spokane, Washington last week, where federal agents arrested one woman who's believed to be one of Bateman's wives, accused of kidnapping them. She's now in jail and will be transported back to Arizona to face charges. In court documents, the FBI writes that Bateman claims to have inherited the role of prophet from imprisoned polygamist leader Warren Jeffs. But as Fox 13 News reported back in August, Jeffs has been reasserting himself as leader of the FLDS Church from his prison cell in Texas. Federal agents write in court documents that Bateman has had a number of video calls with his wives, leading them to believe that they are on the run. He is currently facing federal charges of obstruction of justice, but these latest court filings suggest that more charges could be coming against him. In Salt Lake City, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
She really was very special and will be very missed.
Next, friends and family tell us about Izzy Parr, the young woman killed in a hit and run in Provo last Thursday. Plus, new details about a Utah soldier killed in World War II, whose remains were recently identified, how he will finally be laid to rest. Stick with us. Former friends and colleagues of this young woman killed in a hit and run in Provo are now sharing their thoughts and memories in her tribute. Fox 13 News reporter Sarah Murphy met with them and learned how they say she has changed their life forever.
Buddy, say hi, Mary. Hi. It's typically happy attitudes that reflect the store's name at Jolly's Boutique in Salt Lake. But recently, there's a sense of nostalgia.
It was a hit when we found out about Izzy. It was a hit to our hearts.
It was just so easy to say so many kind things about her.
On Thursday,
Sorry.
21-year-old Isabel Parr was struck by a car. She passed away that evening.
I know a lot of people say that she was so special and no one can say a bad thing about her, and it is so true.
A former Jolly's employee herself, Izzy's coworkers say she left an impact.
Even if you were having the crappiest day, if you saw her smile, everything kind of changed.
Izzy's family and friends say that many have taken to the neighborhoods to express their love and appreciation for Izzy by taking a yellow ribbon and tying a bow in her honor. They say it's her impact that's bringing the community together.
The color yellow, it's so bright, so happy. I think there's a lot of good feelings associated with that color, and just knowing people pair her and the color yellow together, I think it's an amazing thing.
And with every day at work, they say they'll continue to learn from her.
I just feel like she was an angel. I mean, she is one now, but she just has such a positive impact on everybody that she's met.
It's gonna make me cry, but I really do think that Izzy she would want people to just be happy and to take care of each other. She just was bright and her light was contagious.
Sarah Murphy, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Friends of Izzy have set up a GoFundMe to donate to her family. You can find a link on our website, fox13now.com.
Well, coming up, tonight's dense fog advisory just got expanded all the way up to the Idaho border. Low visibility tonight, making for tough driving conditions. How you can stay safe coming up.
I'm Andrea Urban, and the University of Utah has repeated as Pac-12 champs, and they're headed back to the Rose Bowl with Kyle Whittingham leading the way. You'll hear from him in sports. Plus, Mike Conley has missed 9 games due to a leg injury. Will we see him on Wednesday against the Warriors? You'll hear from him after the break.
Welcome back. We are tracking some low visibility right now along the Wasatch Front. Live look right now in Riverdale, I-15 at 4600 South, northbound lanes and southbound lanes, both obviously impacted by the fog. But what we're tracking for you tonight, this fog advisory has been expanded. We'll talk more about the impacts for the morning drive coming up.
It looks like a tough drive already. Thanks, Allison. Funeral arrangements have now been set for a Utah soldier killed in World War II, whose remains were only recently identified. U.S. Army Air Force's Corporal Merle L. Pickup died at the age of 27 all the way back in 1944 when his plane went down in bad weather while traveling between China and India. In 1947, U.S. officials, they tried to go to the crash site to retrieve the remains, but determined it was too dangerous to do so. It was an Indian travel company who was able to recover the remains in 2019. They were then sent back to the U.S., where DNA analysis was performed. Pickup was a Provo native. He will be buried December 17th at Provo City Cemetery. A public comment period now underway as a series of community meetings on the Utah Department of Transportation's proposed I-15 expansion. The plan includes widening I-15 from about 400 South in Salt Lake City to Highway 89 in Davis County. Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule spoke with community members who may be impacted by the proposed expansion, as well as with UDOT about how they plan to address their concerns.
Time and time again, we're the community that's going to bear the brunt of growth through Utah.
Daniel Strong and Kevin Park both live on the west side of Salt Lake City. They say UDOT's proposed I-15 expansion is just another thing that will hurt their community.
We've recently been beset by the prison and the inland port, and we're aware that there's a huge environmental disparity between the east and west side, both in our resources and in the health impacts.
We have some good friends who have been forced to move outside of Salt Lake City and specifically Rose Park because their doctor said you either move or you go on oxygen.
Strong and Park are also worried about what the expansion could mean for homes close to the freeway.
A lot of the homes that were developed along the freeway were developed for low-income folks. So especially to remove those homes for people who are already struggling and low resource is especially a bit of a slap in the face.
They'll be compensated, but are they able to buy a comparable home in Salt Lake City?
But UDOT says home and business loss are things they are thinking about as they look at different solutions for our transportation needs.
When you're talking about a project that is this large, there is that potential, and we understand the concern, and that's why we want to work closely with homeowners, with businesses, people that would be affected, and so that we can understand those potential impacts and try to minimize them where we can.
Widening I-15 is just part of their proposal.
You have to look at transit, walking and biking paths. It's not just about moving vehicles. We have to look at how we can move people and making the best transportation solutions.
Strong and Park are hopeful UDOT can achieve the goals of this project without sacrificing their community.
And the west side is the most diverse and culturally interesting part of the city, and to continue to eat away at it is really losing something special.
It's easy for people to comment and complain on Facebook, but when it comes down to coming out for a meeting or commenting on the website, they're not taking that next step.
There are lots of opportunities for in-person comment coming up this week. We'll have more info on those linked on our website, fox13now.com. In Salt Lake City, I'm Darian Bull, Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right, here's what's changed for our dense fog advisory since earlier in the hour. It has now been expanded to include Box Elder County, so all the way up to the Idaho border into North Salt Lake. We have a dense fog advisory. Visibility is down to a quarter mile in Brigham City and for Ogden right now. That is very tough for driving conditions. Over towards Roosevelt and Vernal, we've had some low visibility tonight. Roosevelt is currently 2.5 miles, Salt Lake down to 4 miles. Right now here in Salt Lake City, temperatures are cool, right around freezing for Salt Lake, Ogden, and for Provo. And we do have still some areas of rain and snow coming down, primarily across central and southern Utah. So our chance of precipitation over the next couple of days, speaking of Ogden, that'll start to go up this weekend. Over the next couple of days, it's not a great chance, but then you get to this weekend, Saturday, Saturday night, Sunday, Sunday night, scattered. That doesn't mean every single one of you will see rain, but scattered chances for precipitation. For Provo, next few days, by Wednesday night, widely scattered precipitation is possible, but a much better chance come Saturday, Saturday night, Sunday, Sunday night. And for St. George, we'll have some more unsettled weather in southern Utah through Wednesday. So for tomorrow and Tuesday night plus Wednesday, widely scattered. And then this weekend for St. George, Saturday night, Sunday into Sunday night, some scattered chances will return. For St. George, 54 degrees tomorrow, 51 degrees on Wednesday and Thursday. And then this weekend, low 50s in the St. George area. By Sunday, with a little bit of a cool down, we could see some snow mixing in. So for tomorrow in St. George, widely scattered rain. By Wednesday, scattered chances. For the Wasatch Front, for our super 7-day forecast, what makes this different than our regular 7-day forecasts, we can go a little more in depth on each day for you. So for tomorrow here in Salt Lake, we'll break down your day like this. Upper 30s for a high after lunchtime. We'll have partly cloudy sky. By Wednesday, partly cloudy, still mid-30s. Air quality will be good the next few days. So for Tuesday, Wednesday, we're looking at good air quality. I'd love to see that this time of year. By Thursday, partly cloudy. Friday, 38 degrees in Salt Lake, so our temperatures are going to remain consistent. We'll have winter weather advisories tonight for the central part of the state with some tough driving conditions south of Nephi. Unsettled weather for southern Utah over the next couple of days. And then by this weekend, cold temperatures and also some more chances for rain and snow to return. Saturday, 39 degrees in Salt Lake, chance for some snow, mainly in the evening. So as we break down those chances for Salt Lake City, same as the rest of the Wasatch Front, that starts to go up. Saturday, Saturday night, Sunday, scattered chances. For Sunday, 36 degrees. Now looking beyond the 7-day forecast, this is our temperature outlook for week 2. So this is for the 13th through the 19th of December. Below average temperatures, and our precipitation outlook for that same time frame will end up being above average. So we've got some more storms in the extended forecast.
Last season was Utah's first trip ever to the Rose Bowl, and just 1 year later, the Utes find themselves heading back to Pasadena with Kyle Whittingham leading the way. Coach Whitt has been with the program since 1994, 18 of the seasons as head coach. So he was asked if in 1994 he could envision where the program would be at today. Back-to-back Pac-12 champions and another shot at granddaddy of bowl games.
Wow, I don't think I could have foreseen that. Where we were back in '94 as opposed to where we are now is a stark contrast. And not that we weren't good, because we're a good football team, but we're in the Mountain West Conference, or the WAC actually back then, and then moved on to the Mountain West. Where we're at because of our players. We have really good players. Our assistant coaches have done a great job of recruiting the right players into this program. We just have a blue collar mentality and attitude around here that take no shortcuts. And that really is what the program has been built on.
And BYU will travel to Albuquerque in just 2 weeks to face SMU in the New Mexico Bowl. Now, the Cougars are in their last year of independence before joining the Big 12 next season, and they're excited for this matchup.
Really excited about our bowl game and knowing that we've been invited to the New Mexico Bowl, especially with SMU. I'm a defensive guy, so I always go look right at the offense. And the fact that they've scored 77 points in the game is scary, but our guys are excited about the opportunity to get to practice and to get better as a team, and we'll be ready for this game.
And the Utah Jazz are coming off a tough loss against the Trailblazers, and they welcome the Warriors to Vivint Arena on Wednesday. The Jazz guard Mike Conley, he's missed 9 straight games due to a strained leg, but he's optimistic that he will return against Golden State.
It's feeling a lot better. Each day is getting better. Today was my first time really practicing and contact and stuff, so I still feel it, but like I said, it's obviously good enough to wear it down a little bit, see where it's at, and we have another day tomorrow, just kind of see how we stack days together, and we got Wednesday and Friday this week that I can definitely look at one of those two, so hopefully earlier the better, but we'll see.
Monday Night Football in the NFL, Saints at the Bucs. Second quarter, Tampa Bay with 3 on the board. Andy Dalton scrambles and finds the former BYU Cougar Taysom Hill for the 30-yard score. Taysom continues to prove himself as a Swiss Army knife for the Saints. Touchdown, New Orleans. But on the final drive of the game, less than 10 seconds on the clock, 3rd and goal. Tom Brady connects with Rachaad White. Buccaneers tie it up at 16, and the extra point will be good. Wow, Tampa Bay barely winning this one and keeping their playoff dreams alive. 17-16, the final.
Close one.
Close one, but we always want to see Taysom Hill do good.
I was going to say, I always like hearing about the former players here in our state to see how they're doing.
Well, and that's tipping your hat off to the universities here and producing those college and into professional NFL players.
Fun to watch. Andrea, thanks.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Well, we have some areas of fog tonight. Please be careful out on the roads through 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Good reminder and good heads up. Good night, everyone. Quick Cast is next.